Let's make 2025 your best, most creative year by setting some art goals. I've created some steps to make this happen in the most effective way. So first, we're gonna reflect on the past year. Then we're gonna brainstorm art goals, and I'll give you some examples or suggestions if you need help coming up with ideas. Then we'll make a plan, get inspired, and we'll talk about accountability. And then we'll go into how you're gonna reflect on your artwork in the future. But for now, let's start by reflecting on everything you made in 2024. I want you to get everything out. Gather all of your art in one place. Don't just scroll through your photos for this. I think it's really important that you can see everything together. And I want you to include literally everything. Like if you consider yourself a painter, but you also knit sometimes, put your knitting in there. And maybe you only worked in your sketchbook this year. That's okay, get your sketchbook out. We're gonna flip through those pages. We're gonna take some notes on everything you notice about your artwork. Write down your first emotions when you see all of your work together. Do you feel surprised that you made that many drawings? Or do you feel a little underwhelmed, wishing you made more? Just a little side note, this is a positive exercise. I know that looking back on your old work, even if it's just from a year ago, can sometimes feel like you kind of want to make fun of yourself because you've grown so much. But I think it's important to be nice to yourself, even your past self. Even if you only made one thing this past year, that's still an accomplishment. We all have really busy lives, and fitting in time to make one thing is really cool. But if you feel like you want to make more than that, don't worry, we're gonna set goals and work on it for this next year. Now I want you to write down which one stands out to you as your favorite. And why do you think it's your favorite? Maybe you really successfully put together two mediums for the first time and it came out really cool. Is the scale of this one bigger than everything? Does it have a different dimension? Do you like this color palette more? And count how many colors you used. Write down what they are. Do you feel like maybe you solidified your art style in this piece? Write down anything else remarkable that stands out to you about this one above everything else. Now look at everything again. Do you notice any reoccurring themes or subjects? And did this happen on purpose or subconsciously? Do you feel like there's one area of your work that you want to explore more? It could be a style that you want to take further, a new medium that you want to play around with more. Could you turn anything into a series? Take any other notes that you want to, observe anything else about the work, and now we're going to move on to brainstorming our goals for the new year. I think most of us are probably familiar with the SMART goals. I kind of always forget what that stands for, so I'll do a little refresher. SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Using these points to come up with your resolution is really helpful because, of course, we all want to draw more, but what actions can we take to actually make that happen? Be honest with yourself about how much you can actually accomplish, and don't compare your goals to other artists. We all work at our own pace, and what matters most is consistency and your own commitment to making art. So here are some goals to consider. Filling a sketchbook. I always want to be drawing in my sketchbook more. Give yourself a deadline of when you want to finish it by, and have a specific sketchbook in mind that you want to finish. Maybe even come up with ideas, like what kind of stuff do you want to work on in there? Think about why you're using the sketchbook and what you want to get out of it. Another goal can be experimenting more, but that's kind of vague. So think about what areas of art making you want to experiment in. Is it your style? Do you want to try a new medium? Do you want to mix mediums together? I think a lot of people set their goals as, I want to draw every day. I know I've done that before, and I burn out pretty fast from doing that. So I think a better goal is to focus on routine rather than every day. Figure out what's the best time of day to make art. Like in the morning? Is it in the evening after work? Pick a time that's suitable to your lifestyle. Don't get mad at yourself if you miss a day because you got busy, but sometimes it's good to push yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes, because I think that will really help it become part of your routine. The other thing with having an art routine is it doesn't have to be drawing every single day. It can just be making art of any kind. Maybe you get a little sick of drawing, so you try ceramics or painting or jewelry making. Just doing something with your hands that gets you creating in some way. Another goal could be expanding your portfolio. If you do this, I would recommend setting a plan for yourself, like you're going to create this amount of pieces every week or every month. I think having little checkpoints to get things done by is really important, because if you say that's just your New Year's goal just by the end of the year, then next December you're gonna be like, oh my god, I didn't do it. It's just gonna catch up on you. Maybe your goal is to develop your artistic style, and developing a style of your own takes a long time, and I think it's a result of experimenting and playing around. For example, one of my goals is I want to figure out how to draw people in my style that fits my little creative universe that I've made. So I give myself permission to just sit down and make really ugly, weird drawings in my sketchbook. I think sketchbook work is super important important for developing your style because it just gives you the freedom of making ugly things without having to show people. I think it's kind of about quantity over quality sometimes. Like, you don't have to take every piece to finish. It's more about trial and error and just making as many shapes and drawings as possible. Another goal could be to exhibit your artwork. So tell yourself that you want to submit a certain amount of pieces to a certain amount of art shows, and do your research now on what places you want to apply to, because those deadlines will really catch up on you. A lot of people also want to start sharing their work on social media, which I think is great because then you can develop a little art community. It's also nice to be able to share an artwork when you're proud of it. And if your goal is something different than any of those, let me know in the comments. With all of these, it's just really important to set tinier goals instead of just one giant goal, and then you can actually make it happen. So I'd say the same thing if your goal is to finish a certain project, like maybe you want to make a zine or a really big painting or some sort of series. Break down every step of that process that you need to do, and then give yourself deadlines for each step. So if you're making a painting, your steps could be research, ideation, sketches, the painting itself, which would include like underpainting, and then the painting part, and then the details. And I just really want to emphasize routine. Having a time of day that feels like that's what you usually do is just gonna make it easier for you to make art, which should be the goal. But also remember that life stuff happens. Be prepared for roadblocks and don't get discouraged if you don't always meet the deadlines you created for yourself. It's always okay to adjust your plan. Okay, now that we've done all the laborious stuff, let's get inspired. My first suggestion is see more art. And do this on a regular basis. Go to art museums and galleries, and when you go, bring your sketchbook and draw things you like. You can also research art history, art movements, specific artists. Go to the library and check out books, but there's also so much information online. You can watch documentaries or YouTube videos. Learning is just a great way to stay motivated. And then in your day-to-day life, take pictures of things that you see just on your phone. If you think the light is reflecting in a really cool way, take a picture of it. You can either start a Pinterest board where you keep all of this, you can make a little album in your camera roll, or you could start a physical scrapbook. I also think it's important to collect and fill your house with art. Go to local art markets and get prints and just cover your walls with art so that you're always surrounded by things that inspire you. And if you're feeling stagnant or unmotivated in what you're making, maybe it's time to take a break and consume other types of mediums like film or music or reading. Okay, so hopefully we're now all super inspired, and we're gonna fast forward and pretend like we've started our project for the year. The next step that will help you is to have an art community of some sort. Have people that you can check in with and hold you accountable. One way to do this is by taking a class. I go to a sewing class every week. Sewing isn't my main art form, it's kind of a hobby for me, but having this sewing class keeps me excited about it. I love having a place I can go to where everyone wants to talk about sewing and we can share our current projects with each other, celebrating whenever someone finishes something. You should also make reflections a part of your routine. It doesn't have to be as much as art making, it could just be once a month, but just check in with yourself. What's been working for you? What hasn't been working for you? Do you need to make adjustments to your current plan? And I think it will be really beneficial if you write down these reflections in your sketchbook or notebook so that you can look back on them later and see that you've made progress. And these are some things to think about when you're taking those notes. What have I accomplished so far? What do I want to focus on moving forward? And how am I feeling about what I'm making? And whenever you do one of these little check-ins and you feel really happy with how you've been doing so far, reward yourself. Rewarding yourself can even look like investing in yourself, getting a new sketchbook, maybe a nicer one when you finish your old sketchbook. Let me know in the comments what your goal is for the new year so that we can hold each other accountable and get inspired. And just know that everyone's artistic journey is a little bit different. And know you're ready to start your journey. You have everything you need right now to get started. Don't make excuses, just get to work. Thank you so much for watching. You've got this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.